I know we've got about 6 weeks between TLC and the next pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble, so I knew this week's show and next week's show, with it being a Christmas and holiday-themed show, isn't going to pertain or deal with the Royal Rumble a whole heck of a lot in terms of really being in your face and really, really starting to ramp up the build towards that event. And I'm fine with that. I didn't have a lot of expectations going into this week's Raw. I was curious to see how they followed up on TLC and how they were maybe going to slowly start to set the plate up and the tee up for the next pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble. This week, I'm focusing on my Raw review. Instead of talking about this or that, or focusing just on a couple of key things, I'm going to talk about the little things, because I feel like, frankly, the little things are what sometimes make the biggest difference. And I feel like this is something that the WWE used to get right a lot of the times, that more often than not, they get wrong. I know a lot of you out there really thought this Raw was really, really good. I thought it was at best. And it was in part because of a lot of the little things that I felt, frankly, hindered my enjoyment of the show this week. So here are some of the little things I noticed in the opening segment. Number one, I was like, how many championship celebrations do we need for Randy Orton? Chase Oliver 68, please don't use your flaming keyboard fingers of fire to blast me. I just say, how many of them do you really need? One thing that did strike me, though, is what I've talked about before, just how much better Randy Orton is as a heel compared to a babyface. It's not even a comparison. And you saw it throughout the whole course of the night. The interview he did later on in the night where he told people to kiss his ass, Randy Orton is 1,000 times better as a heel than he is as a babyface. Let's hope they keep him heel for the far and distant future. I was kind of confused, though. Are Stephanie and Triple H supposed to be heels or babyfaces? This segment, you really couldn't tell. Why is John Cena sitting there kind of giving a lecture to Randy Orton about being the champion? Why? Randy Orton has been champion numerous times in the company, and last time I checked, when has John Cena ever been the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Champion? He hasn't. So why is he lecturing a Randy Orton on what it takes to be that type of champion when John Cena himself has never been it? I know it seems kind of petty, it seems kind of stupid, but I mean realistically. It'd be different if a Chris Jericho was saying that to him, but later on in the night, Stephanie's lecturing him. What the fuck would Stephanie know about being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion or a world champion at all? Don't give me the women's championship. I'm talking about the face of the company. What would Stephanie know about that from being the face of the company as a wrestler? Why is she lecturing? If Triple H lectured, maybe that would be a little bit of a different story, but even then, you've got John Cena lecturing him. Why is he lecturing him? And you got Triple H saying they listen to the WWE Universe, so Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan is best for business tonight. When did that become best for business all of a sudden? They're confusing the shit out of me. Yeah, Stephanie sits there and says, we don't know why the people voted for Daniel Bryan Superstar of the Year. Is it because he gets the best reactions out of everybody? Is it because he's the most overperformer in your company right now? Is it because he was the most entertaining individual throughout the entire course of 2013? Is it all of those things? So you say you listen to the WWE Universe, but you don't get it. No, you would be hearing them. You wouldn't be fucking listening to them, because if you were listening to them, the answers would be fucking obvious, and you wouldn't say stupid shit like this that makes me question whether you're supposed to be a heel or a babyface. If you're trying to establish Orton as this heel champion, but there's Triple H and Stephanie. They just have to steal the spotlight and put the shit back on them. And, it's the shit like saying that about Daniel Bryan. That doesn't elevate babyfaces. That buries babyfaces. Doing that type of shit to Randy Orton doesn't elevate heels. It buries heels. And it helps do one thing. Just put the shine and the spotlight on Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Enough. Please. So right after the opening segment, we go into a tag match with the Rhodes brothers versus Big Show and Mysterio. The tag champs don't get an intro on television? Really? Wow. That surprised the shit out of me. Another thing, I'm sitting there and as I'm watching the match, I'm like, what the fuck is the Big Show doing? He goes from being broke to having to do Stephanie and Triple H's bidding to he gets fired to he comes back to now we've completely forgotten about this. And there's no follow-up. There's no him going after Triple H. There's no him continuing to go after Stephanie. There's none of that. We're just supposed to pretend like this storyline never existed. It never happened. See, this is the type of shit that insults the fans' intelligence and why people don't get as emotionally invested in your product, hence why fewer people watch your product. Well, part of this is not comprehensible by the people, the brain trust of the WWE. Furthermore, what the fuck were the commentators doing? I'm going to talk about this on Thursday. But you're taking, well, not a selfie, technically. It'd be a groupie. you're taking pictures of yourselves during a tag team match featuring people like Big Show and Mysterio, Cody Rhodes, and Goldust. I could see if you did this shit during a Divas match or something where you usually don't give a shit about it. But these are your tag team fucking champions, and on the other side there's Big Show and Rey Mysterio, and you're taking pictures of yourself and posting it on Twitter? That's the most important thing you have to do? Again, I'll be talking about that more on Thursday. And also, Big Show and Rey Mysterio look like they're being positioned for a title shot against the Rhodes brothers as opposed to tag teams like the Wyatts or the PTPers or the Real Americans or the Usos or even Los Matadores. Where the hell did this come from? This is an example of not really knowing what to do with Big Show or Mysterio. You got them, let's just throw them together and screw everything else, huh? Jesus Christ. The Schleg Daddy has some good news and some bad news. The good news is that 3.5 years after his debut, Wade Barrett is still employed with the WWE and still is making appearances on television. That's the good news. The bad news is after 3.5 years, he's gone from being the leader of the Nexus, feuding with John Cena, to now he's doing this dumb dick, bad news Barrett gimmick. That's the best you could come up with in 3.5 years. 3.5 years. How many times have you changed his look? How many times have you tried to change his gimmick and his persona? How many times have you changed his damn theme music? And now he's doing this cheap crap, bad news Barrett. And who's the asshole that decided you're in Dallas, Texas, so you're going to try and have him cut a cheap heat promo talking about the Mega Millions and the fact that nobody was going to win it? Again, I emphasize, you morons, you were in Dallas fucking Texas. The Cowboys in their past 2 games got dismantled on Monday night and embarrassed on national television by a mediocre-ass Bears team with a backup quarterback. And then they followed that up by getting steamrolled in the second half and giving up a 26-3 lead against the Green Bay Packers, who were also featuring a backup quarterback, not nearly as good as Josh McCown and Matt Flynn, and they choked away the game. This is a Dallas Cowboys team that's 7-7. That is who they are every year, a mediocre-ass team that finds ways to lose games they should win. Jerry Jones is a moron. Their coach is horrible, especially when it comes to play calling, and you have a quarterback who consistently chokes and makes bad decisions time after time after time in the clutch situations and in the fourth quarter. And you choose to talk about the Mega Millions lottery, when obviously it would seem like the much easier thing to do to get cheap heat would be to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. It would take 3 minutes to write it, and it would get a hell of a lot better reaction than that Mega Millions crap did. Perhaps my favorite segment on the show this week was the Real Americans versus Mark Henry and Big E Langston. A couple of things that really jumped out to me as I was watching it. Number one, I wonder if the WWE realizes that the Real Americans are starting to get over, but they might be slowly shifting from heels to baby faces, and I wonder if the WWE recognizes that, realizes it, accepts it, and if they know what they're going to do once that full shift happens. When I look at Mark Henry and Big E Langston, you know, I know somebody, rest his soul, that would have loved to have seen this. And this should be a great alpha male friendship. I know they're going to rush this and they're not going to have them be together for very long. But you could play this out over a long period of time. You could have them go to the gym and they could do powerlifting contests. They could do arm wrestling shit. You know, alpha male type of stuff. Trying to figure out who's better. Have it be a real competition to the point then eventually maybe you got to SummerSlam and then you could have a big time match between the two of them. That's what I would want to see. I'd love to see that shit. But I know what I'm really going to love to see. And this is for you, Megyn Kelly. Up your ass. I know a lot of guys probably would like to put it up there. But up your ass. Santa Claus doesn't have to be white. And next week, by God, on Raw, Mark Henry's going to prove it. And not only is he a black Santa Claus, he's going to be the good Santa Claus. And you just should be thankful that Smokey isn't around to dismantle and embarrass your Fox News cunt ass. Period. Mark Henry's going to save Christmas, kids. Don't you worry about it, brother. So a couple of things I really noticed when Ryback will face the Tongues of Funk. Number one, you know the WWE has really lost their way with Ryback and has really done their best to help ruin what could have been a burgeoning rising star in their company, especially as a top babyface. When the crowd now is even only giving you a half-ass Goldberg chant. I mean, they're not even like passionate or enthusiastically giving you a Goldberg chant. It's just half-ass. I mean, when you can't even evoke that type of reaction out of the people, then you've really ruined a gimmick. But speaking of gimmicks, now you're talking about turning Brodus Clay heel, and I just wonder for what. Because I really highly doubt you're going to do a whole hell of a lot with him. You kept him in this Funkasaurus gimmick for almost 2 years, really haven't done much of anything with him. And now you're just deciding to turn him heel for the shit giggles of him. And then what a surprise. You bring up a young talent that happens to be black and Xavier Woods. You could do so many other things with him. So, of course, he's going to be a dancer and a shucker and a jiver, and he's going to have the ghetto girls dancing with him. Is that really the best you could do with this kid, WWE? Is that really the best you could do? So many other different things you could do. Do you always have to give a black wrestler a stereotype type of hip-hopping, shucking and jiving, dancing, and having a good old time type of gimmick? Do you really have to do that? I do want to see where they're going to go with Brodus Clay in this heel turn. If he's going to feud with Tensai first, if he's going to feud with Xavier Woods and R-Truth first, or if in 2 weeks they're just going to completely drop this and Brodus Clay's going to have a few random-ass matches as a heel, and then they're going to forget about him. I mean, that's what I want to see, but... So before CM Punk was going to face the Shield with some tag team partners, he decides he's going to cut a promo. And, it's Punk being Punk, and that's all fine and good. But instead of getting Triple H or Stephanie, he gets HBK. I got a question for you guys. I mean this seriously. When did HBK, become so cockeyed? What exactly did this transition occur? Has he always been kind of cockeyed, and I just never really noticed it? And also, why does he have the half-ass construction worker beard? What happened to the full creepy mountain man beard that he used to have? But as these two were going at it back and forth on the mic, HBK to me still showed why he was so damn good on the mic all those years, and that he still has it. His ability to manipulate and control the crowd is outstanding, whether it be as a heel or a face, doesn't really matter. He gets it, and even a guy like a CM Punk, who's really, really good on the mic, can still be thrown off by an HBK and how good an HBK can be. But as these two guys were interacting, something really dawned on me. I realized that whereas everybody's maybe pining at this point for Punk to take on Triple H and Bryan to take on Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, I realized that I would rather see Daniel Bryan take on Triple H, which is a match I wanted to see for a while, and I'd much rather see CM Punk take on Shawn Michaels. I think those two rivalries, those two matches have more intrigue and more possibilities and more potential to draw more money than a Punk versus Triple H and a Daniel Bryan versus HBK. I understand why they want to go with Daniel Bryan versus HBK, but I think Punk HBK has more possibilities to it. I think it's better. And I also think Daniel Bryan versus Triple H has better story to it and is better. And to be fair, we've already seen Punk feud with Triple H in the past. So I really am not curious to see that again. I do have a question, though. Why does Punk need tag team partners if he just at the pay-per-view on Sunday beat the Shield 3-on-1 in a handicap match? Why would he need tag team partners here? And then why did he have tag team partners just to go on and lose this match? Why? That's what I didn't get. Andy was the one to get pinned of all that. At least have one of the Usos get pinned. You have CM Punk beat him on Sunday, and then he eats the pinfall here. And why was this match so long? This match started off good, and then it got really good, and then it got to be, to me, a bit too long to the point where I was like, okay, let's get to the point and let's get this over with. It's the inconsistencies of the WWE's booking especially, though, is they give me stuff that they didn't intend to tease me with that gets me more excited, which would be the thought of Punk wrestling Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania and the feud that would lead up to that, where they're trying to position Punk versus Triple H and maybe Daniel Bryan versus Shawn Michaels. They've sent me in a completely different direction now. They really have. And now they took a guy that just beat 3 guys on Sunday and had him lose to those same 3 guys with 2 guys as his tag team partners on Monday. That's a WWE for you, I guess. The Divas tag. If any of you want to know my thoughts on the AJ Lee cartoon, I think the shit's funny, period. You know why it's funny? Because it is funny. Because it makes logical sense. That shit's hilarious. If you don't like it, get a little bit of a sense of humor. Is it childish? Is it immature? Yes, of course it is. But a lot of things that make us laugh, frankly, are childish and immature. And at times at heart, we all like to be a little childish and a little immature. And I know I sure the hell do. So I'm still laughing my ass off about it. But this 6-woman Divas tag, I do wonder how badly AJ Lee does want to be Lita besides the cartoon. Is she going to have a live sex celebration with Edge someday? Is she going to end up dating Matt Hardy for several years? All right. Enough on her. I do wonder, though, as I watch the match, how many times has Alicia Fox flipped between being a babyface and heel? It's like one week you watch her, she's on the face team. The next week she's on the heel team. What? What the hell? I mean, granted, it gets her on TV. I guess that's fine, but seriously. I also wonder, is Tamina going to kill her girlfriend in a hotel room like her daddy did? Is that too soon, guys? Just saying. I don't really care about this Divas match. I'm sorry. I just don't. There's one Bella sitting there wearing the hat looking like a clown. You know, Natalya versus AJ Lee. I'm still pissed off that Natalya didn't win the belt on Sunday. And no, I don't like AJ Lee. 14-year-old girls are not my thing, and if they're your thing, then that's terrific. But I don't like her. I think her gimmick is stupid, and I think she's been a very boring-ass Divas champion, period. You know, it's funny with the WWE, sometimes they give you TV matches on the pay-per-view, and they give you pay-per-view quality matches on TV. It seems like you're kind of messed up. You would think in theory you'd want to give the better matches on the shows that the people have to pay more money for as opposed to getting it for free or through their cable subscription, whatever the case might be. But Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton, the main event here, which apparently I guess was for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, to me was a clear-cut example of a pay-per-view quality match being given on television, whereas the match that was the main event of the pay-per-view at TLC between John Cena and Randy Orton in a lot of ways, frankly, felt like to me it belonged on television. This match was really damn good, so much better than the match we just saw on Sunday night between Cena and Orton. It wasn't even close. This match actually attempted to tell a story and did tell a story and just seemed to flow so much more smoothly, and it just accomplished so many more things. God, this was good. It really was good. If you would have given this to me, the most of the match at least, as the main event of TLC, God, I would have been so much more happy with it. And I'm sure a lot of other people would have been too. Holy cow. I was surprised, though. I really was. Is that really what you want to do with Randy Orton, is just make him a cowardly chicken shit heel? You're sitting there, I understand, and emphasizing the fact that, you know, he hasn't beat Daniel Bryan 100% clean and maybe he's afraid he can't do it. But why can't he get counted out? Why does he have to sit there and low blow him? Or why can't he actually maybe get the pinfall victory here? One night, after becoming your undisputed champion, your one champion of all champions, and he's afraid of a guy who's about 5'10", 200 pounds. Randy Orton is. That seems stupid. You know, or maybe have the match end with some interference from the Wyatt family. You have the Wyatt family make an appearance earlier on in your show, cutting a promo on Daniel Bryan and talking to somebody in a rocking chair that isn't there. Why not have them interfere or cause some disruption? That way Randy Orton can still win. Instead of being a cowardly chicken shit heel, he's an advantageous, cerebral, smart heel. And the reason he's your champion. And then you got John Cena running on. I'm wondering if they are trying to set up a triple threat match between the three of these guys here at the Royal Rumble. Maybe that's what they're doing. But it's like, come on, man. Daniel Bryan gets hit with a low blow. Does that really call for John Cena to come out and make the big heroic save? I will admit I popped a little bit when Randy Orton sat there and hit him with the damn RKO. But I was like, so Randy Orton has to get himself disqualified via a low blow, but we're still going to have him standing strong, proud, and tall after hitting an RKO on John Cena. Such a good damn match with such a trash finish. I'm sorry, the finish to me was trash, but the match up until that point was outstanding. Unfortunately, a lot of times the most important part of the match is the finish, and that's what they got wrong here. You know, this show to me, it's kind of emblematic of the WWE. There are those things to like. There are those signs of positivity. There are those things that are encouraging. But then there are those other little things that you see that just frustrate the hell out of you or make you question, make you wonder if they really know what they're doing, if they really have any plans for anybody. That's what this show did. You know, I threw some shit in here this week on the review to have some fun because, yeah, you know, frankly, there were questions that came up during the course of Raw. So if a lot of you really enjoyed this week's show, then that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and shit all over this show because I knew it wasn't going to do a lot to build towards the Royal Rumble in a very overt, in-your-face way, and I'm fine with that. It just, like I said, as I was watching the show, the one thing that kept creeping up into my consciousness were all the little things. So I felt it was appropriate for me to talk about it in this review this week.